Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you today. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you also for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the worship committee, and I will be one of your associates today. Other members you will hear from include Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new week. Although our doors are open, the pandemic is not over. So while we are here, please keep your masks on and socially distance. We can speak in normal tones, but singing or chanting creates an increased risk of airborne exposure. So we ask you to refrain for the time being. We invite those of you in the sanctuary to sit back and enjoy listening to our songs. For those of you at home, sing your hearts out. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. For our call to worship, you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Today, we are honored to have Taylor Hollman as our speaker. Taylor was born and raised in Riverside and has always been amazed at the dynamic and diverse landscapes of the Inland Empire. He graduated from CSU San Bernardino last year with a degree in environmental studies and recently completed his term with the state's Climate Action Corps, planting trees in Redlands North Side. When not at work, Taylor loves to get off the hiking trail every once in a while and find something new, whether it be rock formations or wildflower meadows. Where's the shade? As cities have gotten larger, trees and other urban greenery are many times seen as a box to check, rather than an important component to community health. It's no secret that summers have gotten longer and hotter. This is a direct result of human activity contributing to climate change. In addition to the increased temperatures, the pollution causing it continues to build. Climate action is needed now more than ever, and we need to meet communities where they are in order for all of us to get out of the heat and into the shade. We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of Indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's reading of the chalice lighting is For the Web of Life by Paul Sprecher. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery. Thank you, Bill. Our opening hymn this morning is number 396. I know this rose will open. For those in the sanctuary, please sit back and enjoy the hymn, but please do not sing along.
I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Thank you, Tinka. Greeting our guests. We have a tradition here at UUCR to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. We know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, and so I will now ask for a volunteer for someone who has been here for a while to tell us your name and how you found out about our church. We ask you to hold the mic close to your face and speak into it directly and clearly so everyone can hear. Do we have any volunteers? Dinah?
My name is Dinah Rowe. My husband is Bill. We've been members here since 2004. We were members in the Long Beach Church prior to that, and when we moved out to Colton, then we joined here.
Thank you, Dinah. And that's how it's done. So if you are new here, a visitor, or an old friend, please raise your hand to stand, and Bill will come around with a mic to hear from each person. Please let us know who you are, where you are from, and how you found out about us. Is there anyone on Zoom, Adam, who'd like to introduce themselves? Not today. All right.
Hi, I'm Tinka Friend. I've been a member here since 1996. I just wanted to say, like my sister died last month, and I'm driving back and forth a lot. And in the evening, we're hit by a car. Car still is, I'm still in a rental. I think most of there is done. There's a few more run back and forth, but I'm forward for myself.
Thank you, Tinka.
One thing for myself, just incidental as far as a sneaky time can be. There's a gun circle this afternoon, more closer to this evening. More than 21 years by since I first came to this place during the drum circle. Other details will come. Just to let you know, time is a slippery, slippery thing. I'll put down roots and markers.
Thank you, Bill. If there's someone on, oh, there was no one on. Sorry. Okay. For new guests, our visitors book is in the parish hall. So please leave your name before you leave so that we know you are here, and your contact information if you'd like to know more about our upcoming events. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. Now there are a few announcements that we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it is available also on our website. Joys and concerns. Sharing joys and concerns is one of the important rituals in our community, an opportunity to share milestones, losses, achievements, and experiences with one another. Now that our doors are open again, on the first Sunday of each month, we can both hear from those in the sanctuary and read the contributions that we have received. In front of the pulpit, there is a book where you can write your joys and concerns whenever you are here in the sanctuary. For those of you at home, you can send your joys and concerns throughout the month to uuchurchofriverside@gmail.com. Our next joys and concerns will be on October 3rd. Pat's Pool Party Potluck, say that 4 times. Pat's Pool Party Potluck in Drum Circle will be this evening starting at 4:30 with a potluck and swimming in Pat Cowander's backyard. At around 6:30, we will begin the drum circle. All are welcome. Pat's address can be found in the church directory or by contacting Pat directly. Pat, raise your hand. This is Pat Cowander. We are also, we're also having a bake sale today. That occurs every 3rd Sunday of the month. And Dinah tells us there are a lot of goodies out there in the parish hall after the service. The Social and Environmental Justice Committee meeting is meeting in the annex today at noon. You can find the Zoom link and more information on the website under Justice. Our hymn now is Spirit of Life. If you're in the sanctuary, I invite you to sit back, close your eyes, and listen.
Sing in my heart all that's
Good morning. This is the portion of our service where we support our beloved historical church and our community. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which will be shown. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is on the church website, the newsletter, and your weekly that you hold in your hand. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate for Stater Brothers grocery cards. And we have those in the church each Sunday. And you can also get Stater's cards from Robert, and we have $100 Amazon cards. You've probably all seen this little flyer in your order of service that you have today, and this is announcing the Oktoberfest, which is going to be held in October on the 16th, I believe is the date. A good dinner is planned, and we're going to have a silent auction also in the parish hall. They're going to be in conjunction, going to be held together. If you want to have more information, see Kate Lewicki or myself or Robert. Okay, contribute by whatever means is good for you, and thank you for your generosity. Will our ushers please come forward? Bill and Bill. Sorry about that.
Our next hymn is From You I Receive. Please sit back quietly and enjoy.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Our meditation today is by David Bumbaugh. We are called to define the religious and spiritual dimensions of the ecological crisis confronting the world, and to preach the gospel of a world where each is a part of all, where everyone is sacred, and every place is holy ground, where all are children of the same great love, all embarked on the same journey, all destined for the same end. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. Now, I would like to introduce Taylor Hollman, speaking to us on the topic, Where's the Shade?
Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna get set up right here. As you guys were saying earlier, I have lived in Riverside my entire life, and I've not been able to join you guys for a service, so this is very nice so far. Thank you. Let's see if I can screen share. All right, so let's see if I can. So yes, where's the shade? Urban forests are very important to community health. We need trees. They give us oxygen. We give them carbon dioxide. I think a lot of us know from biology, like just how all this works. But we have been running a deficit in our urban tree canopy, and the effects are rising day after day. We've noticed that as the weather of the day has shown that things are getting hotter, things are getting crazier, and we really need to invest now in our ecological health. So my project was the North Redlands Tree Canopy Project. I was working with the state's Climate Action Corps over the last 7 months. And let me start off with our project partners. Let's start from the bottom. The University of Redlands also hosted 3 fellows. Actually, hold fast, let me put on a stopwatch because I will speak forever. I was raised a Baptist, so this is we might be here for a minute. But yes, the University of Redlands hosted 3 fellows as well. I'll talk about their project a little bit later, but they did provide a lot of support for us throughout the project. Next were the UC Master Gardeners. I don't know if we have UC Master Gardeners in the audience, but they provided a technical role, assistance and mentors for our residential stewards. Next was the Common Vision Coalition. Shout out to Mario Saucedo if he is tuning in this morning. This was a North Redlands community organization that really wanted to raise the level, the quality of life in that part of the city. Next was the California Climate Action Corps, which I served in. It was recently called into service by Governor Newsom in September of last year, and we were officially inaugurated and sworn in January of this year. So our cohort just ended, and we're starting, I believe, in November for the next one. And finally, the Inland Empire Resource Conservation District, where I work now, was the project host for the Tree Canopy project. And a little brief history about RCD's resource conservation districts. They arose out of the need for, during the Dust Bowl of the 20s and 30s, and trying to build soil health for farmers and giving them best practices when farming. But today, resource conservation districts are typically public agencies. This one is headquartered in the city of Redlands, focuses on open space preservation, wildland rehabilitation, and education and outreach to residents within the 1,300 square miles of northwestern Riverside and southwestern San Bernardino counties. Unfortunately, you guys are just outside of our project boundaries, but you do have an RCD. It's the Riverside Corona Resource Conservation District. Our boundaries meet at the Santa Ana River, but we always are doing collaborative work across the the project boundaries. So I'll give you some information about that later. It's governed by a 7-member board and is supported by staff that carries out the district's mission, which is to promote the understanding that the quality of the environment determines the quality of life. This is in cooperation with landowners, local, state, and federal agencies, environmental and community groups, and we just promote good stewardship of our soil, our water, and other natural resources. Additionally, we provide strong educational programs that encourage today's youth to accept the responsibility of conserving our natural resources for tomorrow's generations. So my new role as a community conservation technician includes increased presence at the Harupa Nursery, where we raise plants for habitat restoration projects, in addition to other community engagement programs. And now we'll be managing, or at least as a staff of the district, helping to push this tree canopy project, which should be extending into a couple neighboring cities. So we might have to change the name a little bit. It's no longer just in North Redlands. I think we'll be going into San Bernardino and Highland. But strategic and sustainable urban greening is central to tackling and even reversing the effects of climate change. And I hope that this role will give me an excellent space to build that. I really wanted to talk for just a second on the 7 principles. I'm not even going to go through all of them, but the 7th principle that you guys had given me, respect for the interdependent web of all existence in which we are part of. That is the key to climate action. That is at the heart of it. And we need to be able to disseminate that to everybody, not just people that, not just our neighbors, our friends, our family, everyone. This is something that is so important to public policy, and that should be a driving force when we do make our decisions in a changing world. So let's go into climate change. I know this is kind of scary. But we do need to talk about, we need to understand the science behind it. But I won't go into a full, biology and chemistry lesson, but just if you didn't know, light from the sun passes through the atmosphere, it's absorbed by the Earth's surface, warming it, so on and so forth. This is how we are able to live where we are and make our planet habitable. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide act like a blanket, trapping heat near the surface and raising the temperature, which is fine. It's a natural process, but our human activities are increasing the amount of greenhouse gases, as you see on the right, and trapping more heat. Greenhouse gases stay in the atmosphere for a long time, like carbon dioxide and methane. Methane is the bad. It's really bad. So we really need to get a hold on those in terms of natural gas and so forth. Although plants and the ocean absorb carbon dioxide, they can't keep up with all this excess that we have been releasing. As a lot of us have seen over the past year and a half of being cloistered at home, the world is sick of our mess and it's trying to heal. And I think we all see, or at least knowingly try to insulate ourselves from, is the constant apocalyptic weather events of the day. This has ranged from fire to tornadoes to famine to hurricanes and floods and even fire-nados. I didn't even know those were a thing until like this last year. And this was all in the last month. So this is something that we have to prepare for and be able to tackle at a reasonable, at a sustainable pace. So right now I'm going to go into CalEnviroScreen. I don't know if any of you have seen this before, but what I can do, all these resources, the maps that I will be showing will be available to you guys. I will make sure that the worship committee gets all the links. Let's see, I want to open this. Will it let me? Okay, there we go. Scroll down here. This was put together by the state's EPA and on behalf of the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. I don't want to see that again. I thought I did that a long time ago. I have seen this map, unfortunately, a bajillion times, and it is something that really drives the point that we need climate action. in our city and in the region. Let's see if I can get as close as possible. There's Riverside. Let's see, I think this is our census tract that we are currently in. Let's take that off. So we are currently, where we're at right now is in the 95th percentile. I believe it's 98. That's not good. Pollution burden is one of the things that drives up asthma rates. It drives up cardiovascular disease. Let's see if I can bring it up. Let me take some data points for you. Particulate matter 2.5 is, I believe it's micro, God, don't ask me, I'm sorry about that. But it's particulate matter when it's in the air, when we have wildfires, the smog that can get into your lungs, all these things that are bad for your respiratory system. We're in the 98th percentile in this specific census tract. Asthma rates, 95th percentile. Traffic, 70th percentile. Cardiovascular rates, 90th percentile. I can go on and on and on about this. But as you can see, we're in the red here. There are some areas of the city that might have a little bit more access to resources, to urban greening strategies, what have you, and they're green. They have, very low burdens. Like, for instance, this tract is only in the 76th percentile. One is in the 58th percentile. So this is something that's very unequal across the city, and it typically are more, at risk and disadvantaged communities are going to be the ones that are going to bear the brunt of climate change in the future. Let's go over to, see if I can go back to, that's not it. There we go. So next we have inland canopy cover. See if I can get this again. There we go. Another great map. This one is from the U.S. Forest. Ooh, that is not it, but the U.S. Forest Service. And it just shows typical tree canopy coverage in the urban sphere. And anything that's dark blue means it's between 1 and 14% tree canopy coverage. In the urban sphere, you cannot get to 100 because if you have 100, that means you're in a forest. So right here in downtown where we're about, see, I don't think it's going to give us exactly what I want to show, but it shows us that we're probably the next rung up. And so that's about 15 to 24% tree canopy coverage. What you want to see is the areas around here, like this census tract, this is upwards of 40% tree canopy coverage. And these are the same tracts that are gonna have less cardiovascular disease, less asthma rates, and higher standards or quality of life. And as you can see, there's a significant overlap in the higher burdens. Let's go next to our urban heat island effect, which is so fun. The urban heat island effect is a phenomenon that occurs when our cities absorb heat and radiate higher temperatures than surrounding greenscapes, like more spread out suburbs or underdeveloped natural landscapes. Concrete, glass, and other man-made materials retain heat rather than dissipate it compared to native grasslands that allow the heat to kind of waft away in the wind. An example of the urban heat island effect is seeing distortions as heat rises from the concrete during the summer or during the summer months. And one of our horticultural liaisons, Janet Harton, with the UCA&R, showed us that, there we go, shows us that how much shade how it cools, or how a tree canopy cools us during the summer. You can have a 112-degree day, and it'll be 160 degrees over the asphalt compared to 95 degrees in the shade. It's wild, and people don't understand that the investment in our trees, we need to plant them today so that we can have that canopy coverage in 15, 20 years. This is just a graphic of New York. You can see the areas that have denser vegetation, which are more green, are also the areas that have significantly cooler temperatures in the summer. So just going to talk about the North Redlands Tree Canopy Project. Some of our tenants were stewardship, community, and education. As you can see on the left here, we have us collaborating with the University of Redlands fellows in planting trees along the Orange Blossom Trail in Redlands. So if you're ever out there and you see a nice desert willow bubba flowering in the summer, stop by, give it a smell, and think of us while you do it. The next one in the middle is our residential stewards. Right here, Amit here has 2 Western red buds. One is a single trunk, one is a multi-trunk. And he was really happy about this because he found out randomly through his job. I didn't even know we had clout like that, getting around, the word getting around, but at the job, hearing about this program for getting a free tree and making sure that not only that his family gets shade, but the surrounding community, when people are walking their dogs, that tree will, provide more benefit just beyond his lawn. And on the right, just education. We did a program with one of the summer groups at the Maryvale Nature Center. Although this little guy right here does not look like he's particularly interested in what I'm having to say, I think that they all did really enjoy learning about trees and learning about how to be a tree and how to be a tree. It was really a way to, get the kids up and keep them focused, but teaching them that we need trees and we need to care for them and our futures. So quick project overview. It started in about February of this year. Some of our outcomes from the last cohort were 13 participating households, which was phenomenal to me, trying to get out and just navigate through COVID and everything and try and get that community outreach going. But we have 13 participating households and more people who weren't able to take a tree right then. I don't think their property was ready or they didn't feel comfortable yet, or still figuring out, but people are still on the list for this next cohort. We scheduled 2 park planting events. I'll talk about that a little later. And a total of 84 trees were planted. Varied educational outreach, K through 12 content. I gave an Arbor Day talk with UCR sustainability and a tree care workshop that we're planning to turn into a quarterly series so that we can continue to teach people about tree maintenance and the importance of urban forests in a changing world. Some of our next steps will be project continuation with outreach to neighboring San Bernardino and Highland community groups. I think we're going to really focus on just reaching community centers and then going from there, because people will always come to their local community center, their local place of worship. And from there, we can say you are being stewards, not only for yourselves, but your community members, your parishioners, and so on. Let's talk about residential outreach. Our residential stewards got a free tree with installation. I think we were able to give up to 3 trees to each person if they had the accommodating space on their property. And one of the great things about this was that it's essentially a free project advertisement, because I remember one morning I was out digging a hole, getting it ready for a tree, and someone's neighbor had walked out and said, "Wait, I want a tree too." So it starts the buzz. When people see that, it really does build that community, and it provides tangible agency. It really makes people say, wait, not only did I get a certificate that says I am helping my community, you know, everyone wants to feel important, but it's also that I have a tree. It's something that you can go out and touch, something that's going to create a beautiful smell. Like during the summer months, some of these trees, they have beautiful flowers and they just smell gorgeous. Well, I don't think you can smell gorgeous, but you know, you guys get what I'm saying. But the UC Master Gardener mentors, we paired our participants with a Master Gardener so they can just provide assistance. And I think a lot of them really didn't have too many problems like after we installed the tree, but it's just nice to know that someone is there that can just, you know, you can give them a ring and be like, hey, my tree's looking a little wonky. Should I try this? Or should I increase watering right now? Or what should I do as the tree grows and matures? Community climate action. Like I was saying, we did have 2 park planting events. It was at the Redlands Sports Park up in North Redlands. We provide 53 shade trees for this community sports park, and it opened the door for other park plantings around the city. And it really did give us that foot in the door to be like, hey, we know what we're doing. We're going to provide the trees. If you at least show us where the tap is at, we'll even water the trees, and we'll make sure that people have access to Canopy when they're out just trying to enjoy themselves. They're out watching their kids play soccer or what have you. We even had someone jogging by one morning while we were planting, and they were like, this is awesome. My kids are going to love, you know, they're just starting soccer, and I know within the 10 years, these trees will provide a benefit. We were also collaborating with the University of Redlands and their tree stock program. The Climate Action Fellows at the U of R hosted a free tree sapling drive-through event, and it really did bring like an inland community. There were people coming from Chino, there were people coming from Calimesa, people from Big Bear, and people just from around the corner in Redlands. But it really did create that community action where it's like, hey, if you take care of this tree, we'll track it, we'll help you, we'll give you the tools in order to see that sapling turn into something big. And finally, our environmental education, K through 12 educational content. It's really geared at preparing youth for environmental stewardship in their own communities. We want, because, you know, I wouldn't say I'm old, but I will say that I've aged out of, you know, all the sandbox games and everything. And I think that teaching kids at a very young age that, hey, everything has life. All these things have life, and we have to protect it. We have to be stewards for it, because depending on your spiritual background, you may have been given dominion, if that's what you believe. And if we're given dominion, why are we pumping the atmosphere with all these things that are not only killing the life around us, but ourselves? It really doesn't behoove us to do that. So we're teaching the kids, hey, there are so many options at your disposal to creating a better future. And so with that, we also, if we can get the kids to get excited about a tree and bug their parents about, I want a tree, I want a tree, I want a tree, it's better than maybe a dog where they're like, okay, you just have to water it and that's it. You don't have to walk it. You don't have to clean up after it. It's just the tree and just taking care of it. Tree care workshops. Unfortunately, our cohort, with the limited schedule that we had, we could only host one workshop. But I do have plans for a quarterly tree care workshop with experts like UC Master Gardeners, city officials, and other local experts to kind of just let people know that they're not alone in trying to build a sense of community and building a better future. And these would be open to everyone. So now that I know that you guys are on my tab, I can make sure that those Zoom workshops get to you guys, or if we have something in person, we can get that to you. So yes, with that, thank you so much. Urban forests are obviously incredibly important, and our commitment to canopy expansion is one of the most powerful tools in climate resilience for a changing world. I want to thank you again for your invitation to speak and your time today. Please continue to advocate for your communities in a better, cleaner, greener future. And with that, I will leave you with a quote from the accomplished polar explorer and environmentalist Robert Swan. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Taylor, for that. Our closing hymn is number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Those in the sanctuary, please sit back, close your eyes, and listen quietly.
For all that is alive, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is our gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Let there be peace in the sky and in the atmosphere, peace in the plant world and in the forests. Let there be undiluted and fulfilling peace everywhere. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Taylor Hollman, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. We are going to have about a 10 to 15 minute Q&A with Taylor following this service. Please be aware that this will be included on the video that is posted. So we'll have Taylor come up here, back up to the pulpit. We'll take some questions. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Yeah, thank you for coming to speak with us today. I open-ended question. I would like to know if you have any recommendations on how can we talk to people about being passionate about climate change without making them feel personally guilty and without making them feel existential dread.
Oh, that is a good one. I'll start with this. When I originally went into environmental education and environmental work when I was an undergrad, I started off realizing very quickly that this is the one where you're gonna spend a couple nights just like racking your brain about it. So I understand. I think the thing is that you have to allow for that empathy with people and tell them like, okay, yeah, it's rough, but we have to do something. You have to come back to that central point that we do have to do something about climate change. It's very hard to stop someone and say, hey, stop driving your car. You stop taking that hour-long commute, because people have to live their lives somehow, some way. But you can start with little things. And one of the things is trees, greenery. If we can, there's a lot of programs. I know in the city, I believe the city of Riverside still does the free tree program with your utility bill. So encourage your friends and family to do that. Start there and be like, hey, I think you do well with a shade tree. Also start with money, because when people realize that it hits them in the pocket, they might start responding just a little bit faster. When you have shade trees, one of the things is that it cools your house. You don't have to pay for higher air conditioning, electricity bills. But it's also it really does come back to the point of empathy and telling them like, I care about you, I care about your family, I want us all to succeed, I want us to all come together and be like, we can create a better world. There are ways that we can do that, and it might take a couple of tries, but I would say start that conversation a day. No matter what, start that conversation a day. So.
Hello, thanks again for your speech. Just wanted to bring up the point of, if you plant a tree, the fruit bearing versus non-fruit bearing. We're making a transition to do a fruit bearing, so we're planting a mulberry tree, the fruit bearing versus the non-fruit bearing. Just wondering what your point, what your fruit bearing.
Personally, it's your yard, so you could put whatever you want in there. But what I would say is, any tree, as long as it's the right tree, right place, is a big motto in this urban forest world, is right tree, right place. Talk to, if you can get contact with a UC Master Gardener, because I know that there's one for Riverside County as well. There's a hotline, you can definitely contact them. But you're creating habitat. Even if the tree doesn't produce fruit, the birds will nest in it. If the tree produces fruit, they're definitely going to nest in it. So whatever you're doing to build habitat in your small part of the world is great. So I don't really have a preference. Whatever you feel is best. But yeah, I would definitely also say more canopy the better if you can allot it. I think we have one with Tinka right here. Yes.
Thank you very much. Glad to see you.
Right.
What two? Actually, you talked about the canopy.
Yes.
So a lot has a very cute in my late
right.
Or a smaller tree. So
So back to that point of right tree, right place. In the project, we had a variety of trees where they were small. We had different applications for them. Certain trees that we had were like best for the easements between the sidewalk and the street. I would say, again, any tree is the best one, but if you can allot for it, the ones with the bigger canopy are the best. I will share again with the worship committee the trees that we chose for our project. One of the great ones was a desert willow bubba. It got to about maybe 20 feet in maximum height and about 10 feet in width. And then we had another one like the red push pistache, which got up to about 30 feet and got out to about 25 in diameter. So it really just depends on your housing situation and how you can, where it fits. But definitely always get that second opinion, and someone like a UC Master Gardener would be more than happy. They always like when people are just concerned about doing putting their right foot forward when you are making climate action a priority in your life. Mhm. Mhm.
We do have the plan to create. That, I appreciate the city. What the city would be concerned about or how
Test.
the mandate that's coming from the state.
Right.
And so we're having to build more and more houses, things like that, which are reducing the the space that might have available for trees. And that is something I'm concerned about. And so anyway, what would you recommend that the city might be able to do beyond just the free trees?
Right. So I do have some inroads with city staff and city governance. So this is not anything pointed, but I will definitely say that we do need to focus on urban greening. One of the big things with the tree canopy project was that there were individuals who either were renting or just didn't have the space for a tree. And we were like, any greenery is good greenery. We want you to put in like a native plants if you can. One of the things that is the bane of my existence, and I'm sure the city is sick and tired of me saying it, but I want people to rip out their lawns. That is it is a testament to man's arrogance that we're going to put all this water into something that we're going to just keep at a very low height. And it's like, make your gardens wild, make your lawns wild, native, and I want to see like the city really push for that and give those alternatives. And not, I like the drought tolerant landscapes that but I also want to see native grasses. I want to see lawns filled with yarrow, and so I definitely want to see the city pushing into climate action in a way that is impactful. I do think that the tree program is really great, but bump it up to 2 trees. Why can't we bump it up to 2? Why can't we give the incentive like, hey, if you take out your lawn, we're going to give you the rebate so that you can install something that's going to be positive for you and your community. Tinka, we'll talk more because I do have some more stuff, but I definitely just wanted to make sure that the city knows that it is possible. I think that we have the money to do things, and we need to just allot that, because like you were saying, our housing we're gonna get more and more people. We need to preserve our green space. And I think a lot of the ways that the city is going is in the right direction. I have studied some of the housing updates that are coming in the next month or so. And I think that we are going in the right direction. But we need not only to keep going in the right direction, but be firm in that and say that, we are actually dedicated to climate action. It's not just not just another box to check. We want to actually see Riverside transform into a place that is cleaner, greener and, better overall. So before I, keep going on my soapbox, I'll end it there. But yes, any more questions?
Tess.
Start over? Okay. He wants me to start over.
No, we're here.
Lucky. What I was saying is our church has a green sanctuary committee. At the time, Dave Mowry over here was the chair of it. And he did such a good job. He inspired me. One of the problems she had when she graduated was that she found that businesses didn't want, as far as trying to make things work. They were trying to find loopholes around the environmental things. Has that changed with businesses? And then I have a second question for you. You guys also run workshops on like apps and stuff. We're trying to convert our yard into in the community. So if you're doing workshops on those, it'd be great also.
Thank you. Can someone give me just a quick rundown on those questions one more time? I did hear about the WaterWise workshops. That is definitely, like I said, I will make sure that the worship committee gets announcements on those as they are. But did anyone get that first question? I just want to make sure that I answer it properly, or at least stress it.
I mumble a lot, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
She graduated, she found that
No,
A lot of these we're trying to find. A lot of companies were trying to find loopholes to
Right.
get around environmental regulations.
yes. Mhm. That's a very tricky question. Because they're, in a way, yes, because they can, one of the things that the district, the IRCD does is mitigation. So when you see a new housing tract go up, they have to put in, they have to follow CEQA if they, finding all the environmental impacts, especially if there is an endangered species or on the property and they have to remove it or what have you. There are mitigation projects. So they have to set aside this amount of money forever, this piece of land forever, so that they can, make sure that they are following the law. But that doesn't, they obviously have enough money to, still buy up all these parcels of land and develop them. So I think in a way they are following the law, but they're still, making their inroads to destroying our environment. And really, they're not, following keys of stewardship. They're not understanding that we are all interconnected. When you go through and you destroy a channel, or you try to channelize a river, it's just going to make it worse. And the floods will get worse. The drought will get worse because the water's not percolating back into the soil and what have you. So I can't say as of right now, I don't have any specific examples of companies really trying to, route the law, but I will say that it's not tough enough. I think it can always get tougher when there are, developers and stuff like that. I hope they don't find me, but yes, you got to speak the truth on that. So, but yes, and then on that last point, we'll definitely make sure that those WaterWise workshops are there. Or if I hear about ones from surrounding communities, I'll make sure that they get to the worship community. Yes. Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. Mhm. Mhm. Yes, yeah. I've been there. It's a beautiful walkway. It takes you through and it shows you all the things that you could be. It's lovely. So yes, we'll definitely make sure that you get that information. Awesome. Yes.
If one compares 10 or 20 feet of canopy, well, that's the optimal wall once the trees grow.
Mhm.
Does that compare favorably with garden space of 10 or 20 feet of trees on growing fruits?
Yes, in the sense that you will still be, providing that green space that will cool. But if you're looking for like canopy like coverage, like to reduce costs or just to beautify, and stuff like that, there are those like small differences. But overall, again, if you are greening and you are providing habitat biodiversity in that same 10 to 20 feet, I think you're still doing the right thing. You're still in that right direction.
Also,
Yes.
when you've got, one thing I've noticed about some canopy is that we have a couple of small plants around that in the garden area and that
Mhm.
stuff. I can't respect that tree.
Yeah.
Your saplings and new trees, are they good with
We haven't run into that problem as of yet. We haven't had any road cats, but what I would say is a lot of times people get gator bags, which also in a benefit of protecting the trunk of the tree, allow you to slowly water the tree and it just drains into the soil over time. So gator bags are really good. And I feel like cats are smart enough to get over fencing. So I wouldn't even suggest that. But definitely that. And I don't know if there are any other alternatives to that, but the gator bag is a really good option just because it just keeps anything and everything off of it from there and still water it at the same time. Any more? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
So if there is nothing further, then we'll thank Taylor once again for his part here, and we are all free to go out into the parish hall. Thank you very much for attending and participating.